Yeah, we've also got Good Politic Guy down here as well, everybody. We're going to be switching over to our Circle Jerk America topics. What's up, Griffin? Get you back in here. And we've got also a special guest of the show, Mac, the man with the good politics. What's up, everybody? I'm going to quickly rearrange the camera angles, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. Sorry, Mac. You can still talk while I'm re-adding a camera for you.
Griffin, I'm not hearing Griffin. Griffin, are you muted or something?
Oh, yeah, Griffin. We're not getting anything from you either, but here.
So how's it been,
Sorry,
boys?
everybody. This is leftist.
Are you still coping, seething,
yeah.
hair on fire, screaming into the air? How have you guys been?
I mean, we've been a lot better than we were when we talked to you last, man. I was like, what, 3 sheets to the wind, very sad. We were in full-on real depression mode. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out the best way to organize 3 cameras on here. Sorry, everybody. This is a DIY podcast. We'll make Mac the big chicken for right now because you're the guest.
Let's go. Big chicken.
All
yeah,
right.
dude. It's been a little bit rough. Although I don't know. I feel like I expected a bunch of people to get really depressed, tune out, descend into nihilism and despair. What I am pleased by is that not just in our community, but online in general, I see a lot of people actually fired up. They're like, hell no, this isn't going to stand. We got to come back better. We got to have a strategic conversation so we can, win next time, right? Like, I haven't seen as much just despair as I expected.
What do you guys think is the formula moving forward for the whatever's left, the crumbling, the ashes of the left in this country? What do we do from here?
I mean, I think that no one knows the answer to that. I feel like in the next year or so, we need to figure that out. And I don't want to pretend like I have all the answers. We've been having a lot of strategic conversations on the Vanguard about how to make the left seem cool again, how to make the left seem countercultural and anti-establishment again, because it does seem like the right wing has ceded that mantle. I personally think that's a big part of the reason why so many minority voters and young voters were duped into voting for Donald Trump. It's because they don't actually care about policy. They just care about vibes. And the vibes suggest that Donald Trump is the more anti-establishment candidate. And he does come off as more of a leader, right? Kamala Harris is more of a manager. She comes off very boring, basically just like your average corporate Democrat, basically the Democratic Mitt Romney, versus Donald Trump, who's a very controversial, charismatic guy. He's definitely a leader of the Republican Party in a way that Kamala Harris is simply not a leader of the Democratic Party. She doesn't even have an ideology. Like, what the fuck does she even actually believe in? That's a question that most people don't know the answer to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this election cycle, kind of tagging to what you were just saying, was a realization for me that unfortunately in this country, people don't vote on policy. And I'm not saying that in the sense that Kamala had this great, bold, left-wing, populist economic policy or whatever, but just it really is all vibes. I mean, I would say a majority of it is vibes. It's a narrative. And something that I think is accurate that I've been seeing a lot of other lefties talk about is that Democrats just didn't have a narrative this time around. I mean, Trump has the narrative, and his narrative is you're suffering. And the reason for your suffering is immigrants and trans people and Democratic elites and whatever else. And then with Kamala's campaign, it's like, what's the fucking narrative here? It's that I guess you're palling around with Liz Cheney, who is, in terms of foreign policy, probably the worst person that you could possibly be palling around with. So your foreign policy is hawkish or incoherent at best, I guess. And then on the economy, it's like, you have things like the child tax credit and the housing tax credit and whatever else, but there is no broader narrative of we are going to take on the billionaires and the corporations that are screwing you over, sort of the Bernie Sanders style narrative. And I feel like if you look at the broader trajectory of the Biden administration, and this is something that you guys were talking about Crystal earlier, she's been hammering home this point for a very long time, well before this election took place, which is that the broader trajectory of the Biden administration is that you have all of these COVID era programs like the child tax credit or expanded unemployment or the freeze on student debt payments or whatever the case may be. And there he is. And so this trajectory right? Went from, okay, the government is helping us a little bit to survive in this emergency situation. And then all of those programs start to crumble at the exact same time that inflation is skyrocketing. And so the trajectory of the Biden administration is people don't feel like they're able to manage just basic life necessities, right? Like housing costs are crazy, grocery prices are crazy. And so like Democrats have this tendency to point to, oh, look at the GDP or look at the stock market, like it's going bangers right now. But if you look at how average working class people are doing under the Biden administration, it's a trajectory of decline. So if Kamala takes over the mantle and she's talking about like first time homebuyer tax credits and whatever else, but there's no broader, let's take on the establishment. Let's actually fundamentally change things in this country. And every chance that I get to separate myself from the Biden administration, I'm going to reject that opportunity. Like, this is just an incoherent strategy that I feel like looking back on it, we should have seen what was going to come on the horizon. And I shout out to Kyle Kalinske for getting me on the Kamala train and tricking me, convincing me that Kamala was actually going to win this election. Okay. I swear to God, I was saying Trump's going to win this. Here are the reasons why, until like a week or two before the election. And I'm hearing these takes from Kyle. I'm hearing some takes from other people. Oh, there's a polling underestimation of Kamala and whatever. I got on the hype train. I thought it was going to happen.
I was one of those people piloting the hype train. I just want to let you know, Mac,
I know.
I've been eating a lot of crow too.
I should have
so
stuck with my guts. I should have stuck with my guts. I didn't. And here we are.
That Ann Seltzer poll fucked me, man. I was like, everything I said is correct.
It did. I thought there was a polling underestimation. I thought people were underestimating the amount of women who were going to skew for Kamala. And then she didn't even win with white women. White women still went with Trump.
Yeah. Do you guys, because the abortion issue was clearly a factor in 2022. Some people think that's the single most, important reason why the red wave didn't really materialize. What do you have any theory as to why it wasn't as big of a deal this time around? Because you would think it would be even more of a big deal this time around, now that it's actually the presidency and the fucking Supreme Court at stake. I mean, this is crazy.
It's a classic miscalculation, like everything with the Kamala campaign. They're like, we really need young men, so let's message exclusively on an issue for young women and who are going to vote for us, because everyone knows these laws are terrible. So it was once again like a crazy focus issue. Now, Mac, everything that Mac just said, okay, it might have sounded smart, but there's only one reason why this is all happening. And it's because we need a liberal Joe Rogan. We need a liberal Joe Rogan. We need a liberal Dracula. We need a liberal Frankenstein. We need a liberal Pol Pot.
A liberal Hannibal Lecter.
I love it. I love everyone's like, how do we...
A liberal Pol Pot?
Yes. A center-left Pol Pot. We need a liberal Joe Rogan, because essentially what everyone is saying when they're saying that is, A, I'm not entertaining, and I don't know how to be entertaining. I don't know how to make a show that's entertaining. I don't know how to make someone want to spend 3 hours with me. That's the main thing. The second thing is like, they want a liberal Joe Rogan not to like do a bunch of like different shit. They just want like the episodes where he like sucks one of these politicians' dicks, which is like what the Trump interview was. It's like Joe was just sucking Trump's dick the whole time, and they just want like a liberal version of that. And I gotta tell you, there's a bunch of shows that do that already, and they're not that entertaining. So I think it's a little misguided, because ultimately Bernie Sanders was able to pierce the veil, and like maybe you're not gonna fix any of these people. This isn't fucking therapy. Okay, but you can pierce the veil, and like Bernie Sanders pierced the veil, and like I saw Asmongold, someone we've been talking about a lot on this show. Asmongold like reacted to Bernie Sanders, and all of a sudden was like, "Yeah, capitalism's bad, and yeah, they fucked it for Bernie, and it's fucked. The corporations are fucked."
Actually, let's play that clip really quickly.
Yeah, let's drop that clip.
I think that makes that'll make good CJA content,
because it's just like you just gotta pierce the veil, and it's like you don't have to fix these people, but certain politicians, if they're talented enough, can do it. Now, some people want to like, oh, we need a celebrity, we need Jon Stewart or someone, but it's like I think a politician can probably be a celebrity if they just have swag. Like if they're
They just need to
swagged
like
out.
they just need to like make a super edgy joke on Twitter that gets them canceled, and then
Yes.
the Rogan sphere will forever, give them credibility.
Yeah, I gotta add another third camera for when we're reacting to
That's-
videos
No,
together.
that's fine. I'll be Joe.
Real quick, hold on. Sorry, everybody. We're having 3 people on today, and that's just throwing all of my presets for a loop. Griffin, you're gonna look like shit for a second.
Do you actually have this clip ready? Because this is like it's a whole video. We don't need to watch the whole fucking video.
Some guy made a threat on Destiny's line.
Oh no, sorry, this is the wrong one.
Sorry, everyone.
We need a liberal Asmongold that plays WoW from the left and talks to politicians and makes them seem more likable. That's what we need. But it's been a week, and I'm glad to have all you guys here. I'm glad to have good politic guy because he was with me in the trenches. We called into your guys' show when things were bleak, and everyone was like healing. Everyone was healing, but it's been a week, and so now, folks, it's time to play the blame game. It's time to point fingers, and it's time to make fun of people and hopefully at least ruin a few careers. We're not going to get everyone out, but these people who ran this campaign, the people who like go all in for it, the Harry Sissons, like all of these people the hounds should be unleashed. Unleash the hounds, I say, on all these people, and let's rout all these fuckers.
Yeah, here's my last word on the Joe Rogan thing, because I do think it's important. Obviously, it's something that Zack and I have been talking about because it's kind of tangentially related to the media space that we're part of. People on YouTube talk about Joe Rogan. It's something that we feel like more qualified probably to talk about than other aspects of a presidential campaign. But like, I don't know if I'm actually comfortable saying that Joe Rogan and Donald Trump going on Joe Rogan like won him the election or anything. Like in the same way that if Kamala had won the election, I wouldn't be like, the Republicans need their own version of Taylor Swift. She's why Kamala. You know what I'm saying?
It was Aiden Ross. You're right. It was actually Aiden Ross who did
Wasn't that Joy Reid who was saying that? She was like, Kamala ran a flawless campaign. She got the endorsement of Queen Latifah.
I mean, here's what it did, Gavin. One of the main strategies was fucking democracy, something that most people like don't care about. Oh, and like if you say like the word like authoritarian, he's an authoritarian. Like most people are like, what? What the fuck is that? What does even that word even mean? I don't even know.
Didn't they do a focus group on that? On the word authoritarian, and then the main response that they got was
like,
what is authoritarianism?
I'm straight, man.
No, literally the main response was people being like, what does that word mean?
Also, do you think it's possible that like you think about our major competitors on the global stage, China, Russia, etc., like most of these countries are not democracies. Do you think there's a chance that people are like they're almost kind of souring on the idea of democracy, where they're like, maybe this is holding us back?
The idea doesn't even cross our mind. I mean, it's crossed my mind. I'm like, hey, maybe if we're in a dictatorship now, I heard it was dictator on day one. I heard he was Hitler. Maybe it'll be fun. You got to have that potential outlook. There's a 1% chance it could be fun to have a king. I don't know. I haven't done it before.
That's
I've done
what I'm
democracy
saying, though. Like,
until
do you think
now.
people like they just don't care about like that concept? Which I'm not judging.
They don't even think about it because the eggs are too fucking expensive and the healthcare is too fucking expensive. Is that they don't even think about it. So the thing about like democracy and like running and all that stuff, like that just wasn't an issue that they needed to focus on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but like, I mean, it definitely hurt Carrie Lake, for example, in Arizona. The fact that she pretended the election was stolen.
And
yes,
and in 2022,
Ruben Gallego, who was really uncharismatic.
Yeah,
damn it, Zach! All of our bets, we lost all of our bets.
My only point is, again, and I'm not even judging these people, but I'm just is part of Trump's appeal that he is a dictator, that he's a fascist? Like, do people are they? Yeah, we need a strong man. We're getting beaten by all these other.
No.
Okay. Well, I feel like we might have to think about that because
we're thinking
so much of this election and the way people talked about Kamala was like, she's not going to be tough enough to go to blows with Putin, and she's too
No,
weak,
that's
and
the
she's
Democrat
not-
perspective. The Republican perspective was, why are we doing all these wars when everything's so expensive here? That was the
I
message.
mean, the online ones. I saw interviews with voters that said exactly what I just said about Kamala Harris, that she was too weak, that she wasn't the right kind of woman to be a world leader and to boss around Putin. Like, I do think a lot of
Sure.
Americans still want this country to be strong and to be led by a strong man. And I think some of them
Yes.
do like the fact that they think he leads through strength, and he thinks that, oh, world leaders cower because they don't know what he's going to do. He's so unpredictable. They think in these like black and white terms.
I think you guys are actually both right. I think that what it comes across as to voters is that they want somebody who is going to take initiative, that they want somebody who is going to be bold and make a change, right? They would rather see somebody make a few bad changes and some good ones than no changes at all. And I think that is, the bull in the China shop approach of Donald Trump is something that's won a lot of people over. However, I do think he would start to lose people, as he did when the January 6th thing happened. Donald Trump's approval rating plummeted because there is something still integral to the belief system of the Republican voter that says, I believe in the Constitution, I believe in the propaganda machine and all this patriotism that's been fed to me my entire life. We are a country of voters. That's why a lot of them are still married to the Electoral College, even though it's such an antiquated bullshit system that, and it helps them win elections a lot of the time. So what I think it really is it's both. It's like, we want to have a strong, charismatic, bold leader. We want somebody who is going to, plow forward and represent change. And I think it's really hard to argue that Kamala Harris was going to be that change maker. I thought, Gavin, you put it really well. Like, a manager is never going to beat a leader, even if that leader is leading us in the wrong direction, right? We have to have somebody who is going to vocally say, I am going to bring about change. And I think the Democrats learned the wrong lesson from Joe Biden's victory in 2020. I think the fact that Joe Biden said nothing is going to fundamentally change and then won was a huge anomaly.
I think that whole election was a fluke. I think
Yeah.
that whole election was a COVID fluke, and I think that this election kind of like proves it. I think that like COVID definitely hurt Trump, and I think that it proves that Trump. This is officially like the Trump is the number one racist white boy of this era. Like, he is imprinted in America now. Like, he is like the Reagan of now or whatever. And yeah, he just is an American fixture and character. And I think that the 2020 election was certainly a fluke, and like they slipped by right there. But
I think let me just say something real quick on that, because I
go
think you're right, Griffin, about this. Like, the ideal or idealistic vision of democracy is not something that people really care about when they can't afford basic life necessities. Like, there's definitely a trend, as has been throughout all of human history, of when people are struggling, on a day-to-day basis, they're more likely to be susceptible to fascist messaging and be more willing to lean into that kind of thing. So I think there's that element of it. I also do think that amongst conservatives right now, there is like an authoritarian streak. Like, they kind of want a Caesar. They want a strong man who's going to step in and be above the fray and be above the checks and balances and sort of just fix everything in a top-down way. But I think, again, that's sort of like emblematic of the broader structural issues facing the U.S. economy and political system, where people are like, our institutions are just so fundamentally corrupt and rotten to their core that there's nothing salvageable here. We just need somebody to come in, be a wrecking ball, and to, change this system at a fundamental level. And they think that's what Trump sort of represents in American politics.
and like, so there, you can take that element with it with a certain group of people. Like, let's say half the country like voted for this guy, but they're not all fucking garbage deplorables. Maybe 20% is. But like, I would say like there's like a percentage of people that decided this election not based on like threats to democracy, which also the podcast kind of helps soothe, because if this guy never goes to jail, they try to put him in jail, and then he goes on every podcast and can hang out for 3 hours. It's impossible to make him look scary. So it's like yet another dumb way to run on democracy. But it's like,
I also think sorry to cut you off, but I think the democracy thing was also, and this is something that I didn't like I kind of misanalyzed at the time. Zack was actually predicting this along like far before he got coconut pilled.
Before I took the pill, I had the same fallout as Mac, but just like 3 months earlier.
Right. This is, to his credit, something you absolutely said would happen. I think it really undercut the argument against Trump on the grounds of democracy, when the Republicans were then able to turn around and say, well, Kamala Harris never even received a single vote in the primary. She dropped out first in the 2020 primary. No one voted for this person. She's not the product of democracy. The Democratic Party is in many ways.
You can get them on all those things, but that's us. Like, we're tracking all that.
That's
Most
not
people-
relevant. That's to
not-
people
like,
who it was relevant, like the
Yeah,
democracy narrative
exactly.
was relevant to. They don't give a shit about that. They're not looking at
exactly.
Kamala and saying, "Oh, the Democratic primary was undemocratic." They don't give a
No,
shit
I know. I'm
about
saying
that.
people that do
Exactly.
care. I'm saying the people that do care about what Trump did. The fact that Kamala was selected or anointed in what looked to be an undemocratic way, it kind of gave them permission to care less about what Trump did, because it was like, well, it's a wash. They're both anti-democratic.
Do you know what's actually really interesting? So I haven't been working at the bar a ton, but I have a regular who just is an ear doctor, and every Saturday he comes in and he sits there for like 6 hours and he snorts coke in my bathroom and he drinks tequila and fucking gin and tonics all fucking day, right?
Hell
and
yeah.
I was like, here's an everyday American I want to listen to for 3 hours tell me every single thing they believe about the election. But I tried to use it as a case study to gather information for regular folks. So he was like, he voted for Kamala Harris because he hated Donald Trump's bad behavior, okay? But he would not shut the fuck up for 3 straight hours about 2 things. One was the fact that he said, nobody voted for her, man. Nobody freaking voted for her. I'm telling you, Zack, my man. Nobody, like, all loud at the bar. He's fucking drunk, right? The other thing he kept saying over and over again, which I don't know what kind of media diet this guy has. He's been my regular for 3 years, okay? Never really brought up politics except for the election. The other thing he brought up was the fucking wars, man. And he was like, Donald Trump didn't let that happen. And I was like, he was like, I hate him too, man, but he didn't. He didn't. And I'm in like my bartender mode. So I'm just like, well, that's a very interesting perspective, Daniel. Like, oh, thank you for sharing that. Like, fucking whatever. But
I just think that anyone still trying to be like, how do we frame him the right way as a strong man and a fascist is not learning the lesson from this election, which is that Donald Trump, to a large majority of people, is not scary. No matter what he does, he is the McDonald's drive-through man. And until you guys start, not you guys, but until the Democrats decide to actually speak to people on like issues that they care about, that's never gonna beat this guy. And honestly,
Until we
it's
go
over.
to Burger King, it's over.
Yeah, exactly. Until we operate and control the Patriots take over.
well, one thing I think that underscores that take from Griffin is this AOC Trump phenomenon, right? So this is the video from AOC where she talks about how
this is what I would like to call the gooning voting collective. You know, the goon coalition. You know,
yeah, maybe they only voted for AOC because she's a hot chick, but I want to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that it's because she's still, to a lot of Americans who aren't as plugged into the nitty gritty as we are. The people who are like, okay, they vote, they like do their civic duty sometimes, right? Maybe not in midterms. But they do still care about this stuff vaguely. Like they think that AOC is an outsider. They think that she's a renegade. Sorry, this is as big as it'll go. I'll read them out to everyone. So she said, people who support both Trump and me or voted Trump and Dem, tell us why. It's real simple. Trump and you care for the working class, but wanted to change. So I went with Trump and blue for the rest of the ballot to put some brakes. I feel like Trump and you are both real. Voted for Trump in Arizona, but voted for Dem Rubin instead of Kerry Lake because thought he's good handling war. I feel that you both are outsiders compared to the rest of the DC and less establishment. Do you guys think that there's any truth to this new coalition of people who, or not any truth, like obviously they exist, but any size or mass, or is this kind of like a red herring for the left?
I don't know if there's any like real mass to like a crossover AOC/Trump voter, but I mean, this is the same thing we were talking about with Bernie. Right. You don't think it's the Bernie crossover emblematic? I think it is to some extent. No, I think it is. I think there's some people who view AOC as sort of like an outsider who's constantly pissing off establishment Democrats and, you know, is actually fighting to sort of represent the interests of average working class people. So they think, okay, she's sort of an outsider. Trump is sort of an outsider. I'd be willing to do that. I don't know how big of a coalition that is, but it's getting again to like the underlying phenomenon of people understand that all of our institutions are fundamentally broken, right? The economy is not working for them. Our political system is corrupt, rotten to its core. And so they're looking for some sort of like an anti-establishment, anti-corruption outsider. And they believe that that's, you know, represented by somebody like Trump, I guess, which obviously I would completely disagree with. But
Trump was clear on 2 things. Trump was clear
end the wars
that he would end the wars, and like even going to like the Israel like Gaza element for a second, like he said basically he would like finish the job or whatever, which is like which can obviously be like implied like the way that we understand it to be, to kind of let them just do the final solution to Gaza or whatever. But to a lot of people, you know, whether if they don't have like a strong political understanding or whatever, they still like know it's been happening for a year and kind of just generally like want it to stop and like want it to end. So like finish the job can't be interpreted as you won't have to hear about this anymore, because Trump will make sure it just stops happening or it ends in some way, because it feels so endless. And that's how people feel about Ukraine too, with that and prices. And then just generally being like, prices were good before and I will fix it again. And keeping it kind of that general seemed to be enough to win. Whereas with Kamala, because I do want to steer back to a few things about her, like, and because a lot of people are like, let's give her a break. She did a great job. She tried her best. She tried
I mean, the most
so
deranged
hard.
partisan hacks
Like,
will say that.
I mean, she didn't even seem like she wanted to be there. Even when she was vice president, it felt like an accident. It felt like she wanted to be president of like Uber or something like that.
No,
But then, like,
she wanted to be there. She wanted to be there.
Really?
Yes, she wanted to be there so desperately
I
that
don't
she was
know.
willing to not believe in anything on a principled level. And so she let,
I think that's
you know,
just
the
her.
former Biden, you know, failed campaign staffers get into her campaign, and she listened to anybody around her, you know, in this sort of like DC insider
Yeah.
bubble
She
that was
definitely
giving
the
her horrible
like,
advice.
Yeah, she was definitely like the mystique of 2019, where she would just kind of like absorb every Twitter opinion and then like go into the debates with them or whatever, and then like she ended up.
I think that was her
dishing out
flaw.
early.
I think her flaw was that she wanted it so badly that she was willing to sell out on everything, not realizing that selling out on everything and not running a coherent campaign that believes in anything is probably the main reason that she ended up losing.
And most importantly, too, on top of all that, not stabbing Joe Biden in the
Right.
fucking back.
Right.
Because I talked about how Trump is now officially the #1 white racist boy of the generation for America, but Joe Biden will go down as one of the worst presidents of all time now. Like, fuck off that he went to like a union picket line once. Like, all these NLRB people, like, that's great, but I'm sorry, like, Lena Khan is never going to be allowed to like break up Google or Apple. Like, she's going to get to a little pick around on the sides and go Lena. That's awesome. But like, she was allowed to do that. And they ran a shitty fucking 4 years where you couldn't buy a house and groceries got more expensive, and every month it was like cha-ching, cha-ching to Ukraine. And that shit just bends over the time. And on top of that, the fact that he was literally video game clipping in and out of walls. And I'm sorry, but that is just going to depress your turnout. If you NPC break the quest line, like constantly on live TV, that is just going to depress a certain amount of people. That even when you do switch the candidate, it is going to depress them.
I do think, though, that what has to also be said is as many criticisms as we have of the Democrats and their policy and their approach, like Donald Trump also not only ran an absolutely terrible campaign, but he didn't help the American people. He in no way uplifted the middle class or whatever. So ultimately, I do think this all just comes down to messaging, and it all just comes down to vibes, because Kamala Harris could have been the exact same person with the exact same politics, but I do believe there is a way in which the Democrats could have won the election. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all just comes down to that. So I think the Democrats need a leader. They need someone who comes in and kind of forces the party to get in line behind them in the same way that Donald Trump did with the Republican Party. I think the Democrats are very much so in the like era, in a similar place that the Republicans were in 2012. They put up Mitt Romney to go up against Barack Obama. That's how I feel about Kamala Harris in retrospect. I'm like, yeah, you're going to need someone a little bit more impressive than Kamala Harris to take down Trumpism. And in the same way that the GOP, until Trump emerged, they were in shambles under Obama. They didn't know what the fuck to do. They didn't have anyone good to put up. It was like, what, Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, these kind of jokers. And then eventually Jeb Bush was their answer to 8 years of Obama.
All right, let's not talk shit about Jeb Bush.
Whoa,
Jeb
back,
Bush was a fucking
chill.
legend. Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, you can never count on these fucking consultants. You can never count on these people in DC.
I'm glad
to,
you brought that up.
To remake the party in a better way. They're always gonna have excuses. They're always gonna blame voters. They're always gonna blame everyone but themselves, just like the Republicans did. As I said, after George Bush made the GOP the least cool thing under the
That-
sun for my entire.
You said the consultants, and that
Yeah.
that leads into a great thing because not only did they kind of fuck up and focus on all the wrong shit, but they spent so much fucking money and are now the Harris Walls team is sending out emails. They're sending out emails being like, "Hey, buddy, are you a sad panda right now? Are you feeling down? Well, there's one thing you can do. Give us $50 fucking dollars, please. We spent too much money on Beyonce not singing. They spent $500,000 a day to put the Harris Walls on the Vegas Sphere. On the Vegas Sphere. That actually
Solid investment.
That actually might be the only good investment out of all that stuff.
Yeah, let me throw that up on screen so I can show everyone what you're talking about, Griffin.
They spent so much money, and they rebuilt the Call
Is that
Her
how much
Daddy
they
set.
spent? They spent $10 million on Beyonce.
They spent $10 million to silence Beyonce. They're like, she's like, I'll sing for 5, and they're like, we'll give you 10 to give the worst 3-minute speech of all time instead.
They gave
Also,
$2 million to Eminem to go up there and speak for 30 seconds.
Wow.
Also, isn't Beyonce currently like implicated in the whole Diddy scandal? Like, hasn't the public opinion kind of turned on her because of that?
Yeah, they gave more than 10 million to P Diddy to keep quiet.
Yeah, keep Kamala's name scrubbed from all those mentions.
Watch out, Kamala was Kamala's.
Can we talk about the real takeaway from this?
No.
Is that Eminem is completely washed. 1.8 million to show up and cape for
whoa.
Kamala. How are you getting completely starched by Lizzo? Talk about somebody who survived a controversy recently. She fired people for not being skinny. She's never owned a mirror in her life, and apparently, like,
I'm just saying that would not happen in Trump's America. Okay, it would be Kid Rock,
Eminem
200 million.
I'm not going
Eminem
along with
fetches
this.
at least 18 million in Trump's America, bro. There's
Well,
real
Eminem
Slim Shadys
slander.
are starting to stand
Well,
up.
no, Eminem's been very unkind, very unfair, and Eminem will be going to the camps along with all the other liberals.
No, remember Eminem put out that like freestyle against Trump. Remember that?
Oh, wait.
The Orange
First
Man
W.
Dad freestyle
Exactly. That's
back
what I'm
in,
saying.
like,
He's going to
yeah.
the camps. Yeah.
Yeah.
He will not see the stars of joy. But yeah, so they spent all this money. They literally spent, how much did they spend, Mac, on building the Call Her Daddy set? They rebuilt
Like 300 grand or
the
something.
Call
it was
Her
hundreds
Daddy
of
set.
thousands. Yeah.
For what reason?
And it looked like shit. It didn't even look good.
Dog
And
shit.
I saw this other number, and I'm sorry, we'll get a Google Doc for next week, but I saw this other number that said they spent over $500 million on just paying campaign employees. And that Trump spent almost no money at all. And so, yeah, it's just these
Wow,
people.
so Griffin comes out as pro worker exploit. Okay, Mike Bloomberg. Wow, this guy's like, we need to adopt the Mike Bloomberg
The
campaign
terminal.
strategy. Not
terminal.
pay anybody. Over promise, never deliver. Wow, 2028, here he comes.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, you want to build podcast sets. That's what you want to do. Just the thing is about it is just I bring all this up because people are like, oh, let's just dust ourselves off and get back out there, and it's like, no, like these people are criminals, and like if you're stealing this much money, like overpaying yourself multi-millions of dollars, like that to me is fraud. And I think that if Trump is going to be a dictator, I think he should look into all this stuff. I think he should look into Lincoln Project. I think he should look into Harry Sisson and his Twink gang and whoever's paying them. I think we should write all these people out because these people are toxic and poisonous to any successful messaging strategy or movement.
Who do you think they should have had as like surrogates?
As surrogates? I don't. It's
Essentially, yeah.
well, it's hard. Well, I mean, Mark Cuban killed. I mean, isn't Mark Cuban like if they're in debt? Isn't that what
Mark deleted all the tweets that said Kamala Harris in them?
Wait, why?
And he just scrubbed it from his entire. Let me see if I have
Oh
that.
yeah, no way. I did see it, and he was like, actually, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Actually, that's just normal for me. It's hard to say in terms of surrogates when I don't know who the candidate is, because it really is all about the candidate at this point. Like the surrogates are whatever. Like surrogates are come and go, but for me, it would really all be about the candidate.
Poisonous or whatever and destroyed the campaign.
Well, those people certainly, and we know factually that they have. If they are literally spending all of this money in all of these nonsense ways, then like what is that?
Well,
Yeah.
they're literally, their whole purpose is they're paid to continue losing. They don't have, there's no
Exactly.
accountability internally amongst the consultants within the Democratic Party. Even like within the upper echelons of the Democratic Party structure, like you have guys like Jamie Harrison. Like, why is he in charge at the DNC?
Great.
I mean, you have all of these fucking
Failing
losers.
upwards, right? Yeah.
Like,
Dude, that's the
didn't
whole
Jamie
Democratic
Harrison
Party.
get that position right after losing an election?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's the
Why-
most
why?
expensive race ever in the history of United States politics, where he
Right.
still lost to Lindsey Graham.
They just straight up, they don't care about winning. And like a huge part of that, I think, is that tons of Democratic consultants, tons of Democratic donors, and tons of elected Democratic officials will literally financially benefit from Trump being the president. Like, this is not as high stakes for a lot of these guys as it is for just like average people. So they you know,
And
all
apparently
this.
not high stakes for anyone in Democrat leadership who have also
Yeah.
led to a trifecta Republican
Schumer-
unity government. Like,
Schumer's
they're-
still going to be leading the Senate
They're
Democrats.
all just like, well, I guess I'll be back for lunch tomorrow. Like it's
That's why I was
like
saying-
no introspection and no one being driven out.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, the Democratic Party is not going to change until a very charismatic leader emerges and forces them to be remade in that person's image. Like Trump did.
Exactly.
It has to be. It's not going to come from Chuck Schumer. It's not going to come from any of these consultant people. They're never going to figure it out. They're never going to like land on the right strategy after, you know, doing another meeting where they do some research and try to figure out what the American people are hungry for. Like, that's never going to work. It's never going to work. The only way the Democratic Party will become palatable again, and the only way that it will become a winning party again, is if a new leader emerges in the same way that Donald Trump did, kind of comes out of nowhere and is able to just like, you know, brush away the last like 10 to 15 years of Democratic Party orthodoxy, pretty much everything that the Democrats have internalized post Obama. Someone needs to come up and be like, snap out of it. We got to do
how do
things.
you do that though? Like, if the
There's
entire
people out there.
if the
It'll
entire
happen.
Democratic Party apparatus is structured in a way to not learn those lessons because that's who's funding them, right? You can't piss off.
Well, I'm not
the-
saying it has to be someone that would agree with all of our politics, like a Bernie Sanders. I'm just saying it has to be like even a Mark Cuban, like you said, Griffin, like someone who just has a better understanding of how to talk to Americans. Like Mark Cuban, in the same way that Donald Trump was, you know, he was a TV star. He was on reality TV. People love him. They associate him with success. They associate him with wealth and, you know, entrepreneurship and all this stuff. So I'm not a fan of Mark Cuban, but I do think someone like that could
Yeah, Mr.
kinda
Wonderful.
come out of nowhere.
What do
and
you
be
what do
like,
you guys think about the I know Kyle's been pushing Jon Stewart. What do you guys think about that?
I agree. I think Jon Stewart would also be able to do that. I'm not convinced that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't
but-
think he will, but I like the idea of that, and I hate that we have to like the idea of that. But guys, the reality is that we're never gonna win on, you know, the neoliberal corporatism. We have to win on bread and circuses, but the circuses is very important. We have to get people to keep their eyes on us. We have to keep people paying attention to us, and that was what was so important about Bernie Sanders, right? One of the things that Bernie was able to do was, even though he was this like kind of short, you know, like hunched over old man, he carried a powerful message, and that made him cool. That made people respect him. That made him edgy, almost outlaw, right? He was willing to say the quiet part out loud, and he did it in a way that wasn't hateful, but it was uplifting. And I think we can absolutely do that again. And I think there has to be a new generation of talent that's going to break through, right? We have got to get past the geriatric ward, right? The other thing that we're going to have going for us is Donald Trump is going to get very, very old while he is in the White House. And so are people
I
like
think he's
Nancy
gonna die.
Pelosi.
I think he's going to get younger.
Maybe Nancy Pelosi will go to the great Congress in the sky during the Trump administration, right? And then we'll really be able to turn over a new leaf and understand some shit. You know what I mean? But
I mean, well, listen, whatever happens, the future is open, and open in a way that it hasn't been in a long time, because, you know, Kamala had one. They probably would have, you know, ran her again for another 4 years after that. But this is like a unique moment to, you know, start fucking around and seeing what's going on. It's a unique moment to not forgive. I really think there's been too much forgiveness. I think there's been too much healing and kindness, and I think we need to be pointing a lot more fingers and being like, oh, maybe these like white dudes for Harris are the most cringe fucking thing in the world and bad messengers, and everyone should rout these motherfuckers from existence. Like,
Yep.
they should not be allowed to like represent the party. Like this Olivia Jumanji, like all these fucking
Yeah.
like
Well, it's
shitty
annoying.
ass fucking people. Like
Yeah,
they
and it's annoying
cannot be
too.
the face.
Yeah, it's annoying too because Kamala, I felt like she actually did a pretty decent job of not leaning into identity politics. It's not like she was out there like, I'm the girl boss, I'm going to be the first black woman president. But you're right, Griffin. A lot of people around her did do that with the whole white dudes for Harris nonsense and shit like that. She's like, I'm trying not to be the identity politics candidate, and you fucking people won't let me live it down. And same with Obama. We had that story also where Obama is apparently freaking out because he thinks his condescending comments to black people might have cost Kamala the election or whatever. So it's like,
It's a legacy's in jeopardy, Gavin. What are you talking about? The greatest man of the 21st century's legacy's impaired, and you don't even care to shed a tear for him?
I mean, his legacy is basically over. He's gonna keep being around and being annoying and stuff, but yeah, his legacy is like very disintegrated now. But
actually, I do kind of disagree with that. The only reason why is because of how fucking terrible the Democrats are now. People now are like looking back at like the 2008 map and they're like, what?
Potentially, there's that.
Can you believe how strong the Democrats used to be under him? So he's kind of getting this like post.
And he still spits fire. He still like spits fire on the mic.
People trying to say that he can't speak or that he was not a once in a generation. Like I saw you favorited that tweet that I had earlier where people trying to say like, oh, maybe he wasn't a once in a generation political talent. Maybe it was just that he got lucky and they handed him a really, the financial crisis just launched Barack Obama into the White House. And I'm like, no, dude, it wasn't the policies of Barack Obama that got him into the White House. It was Barack Obama being Barack Obama.
Well, that's how he beat Hillary. I mean, how else did he beat Hillary Clinton?
Sexism.
Man. He
right.
was so
magic.
Good on
Barack Hussein Obama. Like he wouldn't have.
During the height of the war on terror, a guy with the middle name Hussein.
And they got feisty too. That was a feisty debate. That was
nuts, dude. We lived in Kansas. Okay, we were here for the entire Tea Party.
I mean, the Democratic primary.
Yeah, no, Hillary was getting
like the Democratic primary was feisty. Sure. But anyways, like. The last part of the blame game that I think we can round out the first hour and then go over and do some call-ins on the second fun.
Well, you guys do call-ins now.
I have a call-in set up. Can you put my text on my box? I think
we also do have to get to that Nick Fuentes story unless you guys.
Oh yeah, no, we'll do that over there.
We did put that in the headline.
Oh yeah, we can do that over there, and we have TikTok and we got TikTok conspiracies too.
Oh hell yeah.
But. The thing about the blame game that's happening now is, some people like the pod save guys are all of a sudden freaking, they figured it out. They had no idea that actually Bernie was saying all the right things and that we're going to need to completely change strategy. They had not been saying that up until the election, but they've come to Jesus. But, a lot of the cable news people, what's been happening over the last week on cable news, their blame game is like, oh, it's the gays. The gays did it. The trans people, they're actually the
racist Latinos.
Somehow they played too much identity politics on X, the everything app, I guess, and that's why Kamala lost. And I have to say, it's like, who was playing identity politics with white dudes for Harris? Like, who was playing identity politics there? That wasn't identity politics. Like, I just don't understand how it's like, oh, it's these trans people or whatever that fucked this for us.
Yeah, for sure. So Griffin, did you want to go ahead and raid over to the Circle Jerk channel? Also, are you wanting us to run the second half of the stream off of StreamYard?
Yes.
Okay. Well, everybody, then we also have a bunch of super chats that we have to get to before we wrap up this live stream.
That's fine. Let's hit them.
Okay. Sweet. Mac, are you going to stick around or do you have anywhere else to be? It was great chatting with you so far, but we'd love to have you keep marinating with.
Yeah, I'll stick around for some super chats.
Sick. Gavin, do you want to take it from the top? Shout out to Gretchen. My girlfriend really likes your sweater vest.
Hell yeah. Is that the last one? We ready to go? I only have half an hour now, so I don't even know if we should do it on the other channel because we're running out of time.
We can just do it here and post it on the other channel if you
want.
Okay,
cool. We can just do the clip outs then here.
Well, we can get through the rest of these super chats then after
you're gone.
Over.
Yeah, let's just plow right back into. Really appreciate everybody.
Okay, cool. Well, really guys, we'll do the edit here for the second half or whatever. It's Trump's America, which means that we have to have a woman on the show for the first time. Hey, Gretch. Hey, Big Gretch.
What up, Big Gretch?
Hello.
Thank you for adding some diversity to our hetero,
this fucking
normative,
sausage fest,
masculine, disgusting, depraved.
Now, are we loud enough? Because this only captures my male booming voice.
Hello.
There we go. A thunderous entrance.
Yeah, we should be good. Thanks for
Hey,
putting
can
this
you
in.
put up our names in the boxes? Because I've got the call-in number here. Now
We have an
there,
actual number now, right?
huh?
We have an actual number now, right?
We have an actual physical number, so you don't have to join Discord.
So it doesn't
and-
typically show the name of you anymore because you're listed as one of the like.
Oh
heads of
shit! It
the
doesn't
show
show
now.
the names of. It doesn't show like names in the text box. Is there a way to put it on this text on screen then?
Yeah, let's put it on the banner then. Let's see here.
Wait, what happened to our ability to? Can't we just do this? Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
there it is.
Okay, bet. Never mind.
Wow,
Gavin, figure out how to change
technology. Folks, that's a real number. That's a real telephone number that you can call into. I wouldn't call in yet. Maybe I'd wait because we have to get through some stuff. We've got 2 stories here that we needed to really crack. I mean, we needed the female mind for these. So I'm so glad you're here. I think we need to start with bodies and choices. Okay, bodies and choices. Now, and Nick Fuentes. So we need to start this off from the beginning. I guess Nick Fuentes got like doxxed or whatever. Did you hear about this?
Yes, I
Yes.
did.
So, but
You were
let's
shedding
start.
a lot of tears, right? You felt bad for the guy.
Let's yeah.
Listen,
How'd you feel?
I don't think anyone should be doxxed, but
Wow, human empathy. This is why we can't have the female perspective on this show.
What if it's really funny?
There's other things that can be funny in life when you don't get what you want.
Right. That's true. That's so true. Everyone's got, and you got to remember that it's election season. You cannot always get what you want. But let's take this back to the beginning because it started with this sort of like viral conservative meme thing that he started when he typed in like "my body, her choice." I think was the original tweet.
Her body,
right,
my
guys?
choice.
Her body, my
Your
choice.
body, my choice. I think is what it was actually. If we want,
Yeah, your body, my choice. Yeah, he didn't do her. I guess I was like, but I mean, like, who is? My first reaction to that was like, who is Nick Fuentes impregnating? He's not.
He's not. It's gay to
he's
have
not-
sex with women.
Does he think that men's asses can get pregnant?
Well,
mean,
the
there's
human.
plenty he could donate to the ladies too.
I bet they're fighting over that specimen.
I just don't. I'm trying to figure out the science. If he thinks that's true, then I mean, I'm open to it. I just want him to explain the science behind it because I'm curious. But
Well, he
that guy, that
coveted genetic.
he's like, but you know, if Nick's ass does get pregnant, our podcast makes the choice if he's going to keep it or not. That's a new rule. That's a Bill Maher new rule.
What's really shocking to me, guys, is that Nick Fuentes has lived for so long and he hasn't been doxxed yet, at least not this badly. So I'm wondering, what was the tweet the straw that broke the camel's back? Was this something that people had been working on for a while?
It was really bad. I mean, the tweet made me sad. Like, I feel like I felt more sad than I did angry at first, which I feel like is a good barometer for how bad it is. And it's just a bummer that someone could get that cruel about other people. It's just like, where are your morals?
Right. And so then he gets doxxed and it's hilarious. I mean, I'm not saying to dox people, but I'm saying if something bad happens to someone really bad, am I not going to laugh a little bit? I just don't know. Like,
yeah, it kind of reminds me.
Do the birds not fall when someone else?
Yeah, does the birdcage not sing or whatever, you know?
Yeah, here's my take on this. Like, I saw a similar instance where someone was tweeting or messaging a woman like "your body, my choice" and all this sexist crap, and she actually posted that tweet on her Twitter and tagged like the university or whatever that this dude was from. Basically, got him like canceled over this shit. And it's like, on one hand, I agree that like doxing people and trying to get them fired and shit like that, I agree that it's not necessarily the most productive shit ever, but also I think it's important for people to be like, yeah, there is actually consequences for saying this shit. You know, you can't literally just come out here and start a fucking movement, like a modern day Nazi movement where you're just like, fuck women. We own your body. You're a piece of shit. You're never going to be president. Like, no, we still live in a fucking like developed society. And even though Trump won the presidency again, doesn't just mean that like the floodgates open and everyone gets to be like the most disgusting piece of shit to actual human beings who lives are in jeopardy now as a result of this outcome. So I do kind of appreciate it just from that perspective of like, no, Like, no, you're not going to fucking get away with this. There are still some consequences to putting out this sort of bullshit.
Well, and I'm not saying we're not endorsing doing it. We're laughing about it. That's a difference. That's different. If it happens, I'm gonna laugh. If it happens, I'm gonna laugh.
100%. We're not going to be involved in anything criminal, but we will celebrate the criminal action of others if it befalls our enemies.
It's a lot like the assassination. Like, am I telling anyone do not assassinate President Trump? Do not do it. But if it happened that day, I laughed. Am I endorsing it? No. How dare you? Absolutely not. What's crazy about this doxing in particular is like it stayed up. I think it's still up. Is it still up on places? Like, for whatever reason, this one is still going, and it stayed up for so long that like someone like went to his house.
Yeah, I have that one if we want to throw that up. So let's see here. This clearly, like, okay, this is not the right thing to do, everyone, right? All right, let's just get that out of the way before we laugh about it hysterically. So the woman who showed up to Nick Fuentes' house is a freak. Also, her willingness to potentially endanger herself to gain the approval of her quote-unquote friend, a woman she just met, illustrates how easily women are swayed by social pressure. So obviously, this is like a very sexist-coded tweet. We can
you didn't have to read the framing of it. You could have just read the images.
fair enough. This is what the average Nick Fuentes simp
now.
Yeah.
Trauma.
I forgot to put up the trigger warning. I'm sorry. Okay, so what would you do if a neo-Nazi white supremacist who called on a holy war against Jews and is a loud, proud misogynist lives in your town? You are a Jewish feminist and know his address. Further, what would you do if friend after friend messaged you with his address and told you that you should pop over since you live in the same town and report what it looks like from the outside his home at Bruin, Illinois? Are there boxes potentially possessing dog poo? Are there boxes potentially possessing used menstrual products? What would you do if it's a Sunday and you've done your work for the day? Pop over there. You would. You're a good friend. You're curious as well. So that is what I did. I shot a short video less than 2 minutes from the public property of the sidewalk outside his address, noting that there were no boxes. As I did, a woman pulled up in her car.
So this woman's not in her right mind. This woman is not in her right mind at all. And so this is
obviously
that was
why I did read the disclaimer, just so you guys anyway, this is a long story. Did you guys want me to read the whole thing? Basically what happens is that
no, I didn't want you to read any of the story. I didn't want you to read the original tweet. I didn't want you to read all these blocks of text. I just wanted to see the image.
The image of this right here. Wow, Griffin doesn't care about the backstory. Our audience
over and over again until the episode is over and we don't talk about anything else and you just keep reading the post. Is that how you want to traumatize your viewers?
I do. That's part of the Circle Jerk America promise.
It should be painful to hear this, but wait, we got these images here of
Griffin.
Basically, yeah, because this is what happened. Like, let's get to the meat of it. She came up to the door and he maced her. And then there's this photo of her from like the ground or something. Like, this is a crazy series of photos here.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the one of her on the ground, but
no, it's like an angle, like it's POV. It's the first one, I think.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's this one, maybe in the upper right.
Yeah, upper right. That's the one right there.
This is a screenshot of the lady's post. I think that you sent me, Griffin. So I don't have the.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's just I mean, listen, I will say, usually for Nick, this probably happens a lot. Getting like macing someone in the face that comes up to your door. That's like how most Grindr dates start. So this isn't out of the realm for Fuentes, and I'm not ultimately too worried for his safety if it's like if it's one random lady. His house looks racist.
Yeah, it's funny too because I do remember a story about Nick Fuentes getting doxxed back in the day. Like, I think his address is leaked before, so I'm not sure if this is a new address that's now also been leaked. But he's definitely been through this before because I remember an article about it. It was like a Nazi might live in your neighborhood. It was like in a quiet.
He kind of biffed it on the Trump removal of endorsement. Like, he was anti-Trump in the last couple of months. I don't really know if it's going to cost him because he's like entertaining enough to incels that it probably doesn't matter if he's like consistent or whatever, but he did kind of like bet on the wrong horse.
Well, he was against Trump, but like only because Trump wasn't being racist and Nazi enough. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It was
That-
like it was like
negative.
it was like Trump campaign is lame this time. It's just like you know, everyone's just an established public.
But like, let's not forget that's a risk for him because he had a dinner with Trump at one point. Like,
because he was with Kanye, who was supposedly going to be running for president against Trump. That was like the pretense for that meeting.
There's like not an outside chance world that like if they start doing like insane immigration and stuff like that like Fuentes is like eating dinner with like the head Nazi ICE detention agent or whatever. Like, he could have been up there doing like Nazi stuff, and I wonder now if he's picked the wrong horse and been too negative on Trump.
Apparently he had 100,000 live viewers the night of the election, so I don't think that anyone is going to hold it against him. And honestly, I've said it before, guys, I hate to say it, but I actually genuinely think that Nick Fuentes is potentially the most talented Republican commentator. If you actually watch these idiots and like pay attention to their broadcast, Nick Fuentes is genuinely compelling to listen to in a way that fucking Charlie Kirk and all these other losers are not.
Yeah, he's a real queen.
Okay,
he does have
something good about the left.
They do that cringe ass shit all day. Don't worry.
Oh yeah,
was that?
This is Circle Jerk America. Oh yeah, she was admonishing you for not criticizing the left while you uplifted.
No, she said something. She wanted to say something good about the left. I don't know.
I just want some balance in here, okay?
That's not going to happen on this show. We're talking about Fuentes.
I'm just saying, like, this dude is the future of Republican Party commentary. Like, he's not just some fringe character. He does have an audience. He is 100% building that audience, and even a lot of Trump supporters, they're more in Nick Fuentes' mind space than they are Donald Trump's.
How big is the Nick Fuentes poster in your bedroom?
What was that?
How big is the Nick Fuentes poster in your bedroom?
It's massive.
It's almost as big as the Lana Del Rey poster that's in his bedroom.
I'm just saying, though. I'm just saying. Trust me, you're gonna only hear more from this guy. His following will grow. He's a better commentator than most of his peers. He's just more extreme, so he gets like put in the fringe category, but he's really not. He has probably as big of an audience as a lot of these other people.
No, all jokes aside, I'm afraid. I don't like it. It's scary, and that's why we need more people on the left being brought up in a delusional way that the right brings up people, you know?
Yeah, liberal Joe Rogan.
Literally, we need our left Joe Rogan.
You know what? I think that the man sitting next to you is right for the job. I think that Griffin has, you know what? The stars are about to align. You're going to have to move back to Austin, Texas, but I think other than that, it's going to be quite a significant leap.
Yeah, I can't wait to move back to Austin and, you know, barbecue and I guess kill Tony.
Yeah, Lone Star beer and barbecue. Anyway, do we have another story we want to get to?
That's Fuentes, but we wanted to kind of round things out with some election TikTok conspiracies.
Yes.
We got into it a little bit in the super chat, so we kind of juiced out a little bit there, but we did like Gretchen in particular. You set the story up while I pull up a link.
Sure. Okay. So the TikTok is going a little crazy because TikTok is known for their astrologers. And a lot of the astrologers gave a lot of guesses about what was going to happen. And of course, a lot of them were wrong. But a lot of their little fangirls are trying to explain why they were wrong or how they're actually right in being wrong or how it's just a matter of time before things go the way that the astrologers were going to predict it. Yeah, sure. So let's watch her cope.
Yeah, absolutely. Griffin, are you pulling it up or are you sending it to me to pull up?
I'm sending it because my system isn't good.
Okay, no worries. We came to blow your system. What?
Yeah.
What? I don't know the rest of the words to that song, but here we go. Let's pull up this video that Griffin sent me.
Insane thing right now is how is every astrologer, psychic medium, tarot reader, but every single trusted, not just astrologer, psychic medium, or tarot reader and astrologer, but I mean like every single trusted one who has gotten everything right from all the way down from Joe Biden getting sick, Joe Biden dropping out of the presidential election, Trump having a possible.
Why is she whispering?
I don't know. The FBI.
It's ASMR January 6th.
Get this presidential election wrong. like I understand that there could be like a few astrologers here and there, a few psychic mediums.
Does she have a
few
white
tarot
noise
readers here and
machine?
there that may get it wrong. That's totally
therapeutic,
fine.
Gavin.
It happens.
It's her
But
ADHD therapy.
how is it that every single astrologer, even trusted astrologer,
Okay, pause. So basically, she's saying that it's not like there's a ballot issue. There wasn't election like fraud, or maybe there was, but mainly it's because there was a prediction. The astrologers predicted on TikTok that Kamala would win, and now it hasn't happened.
Yeah, they're always right. Why would they be wrong in this one crazy incident?
Is that crazier than like the conservative ones? Like, because the conservative ones are based on like, oh look, we found a video that looks like stealing votes, or like the Dominion lawsuit or whatever, where you could
Also,
like feasibly come up with something in your mind.
Can you guys explain to me also what method they were even going? Like, was it the stars aligning in a certain way? Like, what about the astrology made it seem?
Birth charts are really big, and the houses that you're in. Birth charts are huge on in TikTok. And apparently there was some part of Kamala's birth chart that said that she was going to win something, that she was going to get to be president. And so people are still like,
wait, did it say president or that she's going to win something? Because if she won something, she might have won her freedom by not having to be president.
both the predictions were made by certain astrologers. Like someone did say that she would be president. Obviously, a lot of them said that, but a lot of them said that she would just win something. But I think the president thing, they're like, it could happen. And a lot of TikTok people are like, he's gonna die, or he's gonna step down. They're still.
Well, that's not a good. I mean, that's the easiest prediction in the world. Joe Biden's gonna die. Whoop-de fucking do.
Wait, are you saying they're predicting he's going to die or step down before Trump becomes president in a few months? So they think Kamala will get like a month or two to be president?
Yes.
That would be so funny.
Yeah, so they're like, it's not over yet. And they're reading so hard into Kamala's TikToks and videos. Like, you can play that. Oh, I didn't get the link. Classic girl who doesn't know technology. Am I right?
Hey, that happens to me all the time. But one thing that I wanted to
text me that one. We have a second one in the chat.
Yeah, this one right here, I also wanted to pull up. This was what I thought you guys were gonna bring up. Left-wing conspiracy theorists claim Elon Musk used satellites to steal U.S. election. So there's a lot abounding. Maybe they can merge. Maybe they can join forces and find a way that the tarot cards and it actually close. What I think is that Starlink interfered with the messaging and the chakras aligning on behalf of Kamala Harris, and her feng shui got disrupted. And maybe the Reiki that she was doing, it didn't work out. You know what I mean?
This was the first crystal election. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like we have a second video here. I mean, I'll talk about the Starlink thing for a second. That's my favorite one. I love that one because essentially the theory is that Starlink hovered over cities like a UFO and like changed the votes, which if that was possible, there's no way that Elon wouldn't be talking about it. He'd be like, here's a cool video I'm posting on X of us stealing the votes or whatever. Like, there's just no way he'd be able to keep that hidden. And it would be breaking. It would be like crashing into the towns or whatever.
Didn't he have a cryptic tweet, though, that said game, set, match?
Oh, that's true. That's true. That was pretty cryptic.
Lots of fodder to anyone that wants to believe there may have been fuckery. I'll just put it that way.
You're right. These people have nothing wrong with them. It's Elon's fault.
And here we go. Let's play this one too.
Did you text me the last one? But something feels off about this election. How did we raise over $1 billion in just 4 months? Packed rallies, and they won by a landslide in just a matter of hours? Also, why is he not on Twitter boasting and bragging about himself? When she had her concession speech, it felt like we weren't done yet. Like, we still have some fight, but we're going to fight silently. Her walk-off, I know that walk-off.
What is he implying? That she's going to...
What is the walk-off? Can you explain this?
Yes, he was explaining that that's a walk-off where she's not done yet. That's not. It's the walk. It's the kind of walk off that you do.
She'll have her revenge.
Yeah, it's a walk off that you think you can go to bed, you can cut curfew or whatever. Not in my house. I'm the mother.
Yeah, sorry. I can I just say with her concession speech that it was so insane. Like, did you guys watch her concession speech?
I didn't even bother to. No, I'm not gonna fucking lie.
Did you, Gavin?
Nope.
So I watched all of it, and first of all, she came out to the Beyonce song. It went freedom, freedom, like as she was walking out, and I was like, why are they playing this song? But she came out, and it was all smiles, and she was like, we did it, we were great, and it's not over, and remember, there's stars in the sky, and it was really unfathomable. Obviously, these speeches always like suck. It sucks to say you lost or whatever, but the tone was baffling. So maybe this is why people are focusing on the walk off, because she was going for an inspirational tone, which was insane.
I mean, isn't that kind of obvious though? Like she wants people, like, I mean, theoretically, she wants people not to just get depressed. She wants them to still feel like there's going to be a resistance. Like, isn't that just how most candidates
are getting delusional on TikTok about it? They are literally having delusions about like what's happening in between. What does she really mean? What does AOC mean? AOC posted something and they were like, what does AOC want us to do? And I'm like, girls.
Well, yeah, it's like there was the women's march last time, which seemed like the clear thing to do, and everyone's like looking for something to do. And if all of it is just doxing Nick Fuentes, then it's going to be funny. I mean, but it's not going to be as channeled as the Women's March this time. It's going to be stochastic in nature.
Do you guys want to watch this last TikTok?
Of course.
I'm going to say this here because we're going to point out a few things in this picture. And I don't have this is not concrete, but just here. Number one.
Wait, pause. Don't downplay yourself, girl. This is TikTok. This is as concrete as it gets. So one thing, this is the liberal version. The conservative version that I liked was they zoomed in on the fact that Kamala has a white wine glass here. Oh, yeah. And they were like, oh, she's drinking
her way.
It's like
the campaign.
That's the first time I was like, she's being real here. That she's like, it's time to drink.
Yeah, it's after 5.
She's laughing. The one thing, besides all the other things, the one thing that a lot of people were really upset about with her was that laugh. I just can't get past that laugh. And you know what? I think this is on purpose. Number 2, she's wearing, what is she wearing? She is signaling her HBCU family here that, hey, we gonna be all right. Okay, now that's number 2.
Yeah, Kendrick.
Number
yeah,
3.
She loves to wear that when she listens to Snoop Dogg and Tupac. Just like when she was in her college Dizorm.
She's repping Kendrick, which means things are going to be okay, and not wearing Drake, which would be sort of like if a groundhog saw his shadow.
Yeah, as long
6
as
more months
God
of
got
winter.
us, we gon' be all right.
Take a look right over here. What is one of the nieces wearing? Harris Walls is on that shirt.
This sounds like that monster
Right?
can lady that we reacted to in the last stream. Remember, if
Yeah,
you look at
just
the
less
M,
vision.
it turned it upside down.
It's kind of less vision, but yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't swing for the fences as hard. Oh God, come on, TikTok, you suck.
Number 4, I just want to point out Connect 4. We are connecting those dots just like a prosecutor would. I think that is
This has to
another
be
sign.
satire. Is this real?
It reminds me of 21 Jump Street, where he goes on stage and he's like, Julia Robb hurts, hurt, and he's just like making it up as he goes. Anyway,
No, but
In
she's
this picture.
she's real.
We're looking at her TikTok. She seems real.
I'm looking right now because I am afraid now, but I'm
this
pretty
is what Elon Musk actually did. He's hired a bunch of AI bots that look like real TikTok accounts. See, guys, now we're threading the needle.
No, she's 100% real. This is how delusional the girlies and everyone is on TikTok. Everyone's a girl.
It's week 2. We're on week 2. Now we're coming up with theories. It's the second stage of election grief is coming up with the conspiracy theories. And what can we
that proliferated after Hillary lost that was like, this is how Hillary can still actually win, or remember that?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they're there now. I mean, and it's like you get it. People are looking for something to do. And to round out this episode, I just must reiterate once again, there is clearly one thing to do, and it is to point the finger, humiliate, and blame large parts of the Democratic Party and shame them for this humiliating loss and the disastrous imprint that Trump will have on America. And anything less than that is someone who does not want the Democratic Party to ever win ever again. Rout the country, hang them up, ship them off, send them to the jail under the ocean.
Where's my gun? Am I right?
Yeah, where's that block?
Yeah.
I did see.
I do want to say though, Griffin, although I do agree with that, I don't think that we have to take this approach where it's like, I refuse to say anything ill of any fellow American who voted for this fucking fascist. Like, yeah, we can point out all the ways in which the Democrats fucked this up, but it's also true that Trump never did a goddamn thing to help any of these fucking people. They did vote for him despite their best interests, knowing that he didn't give a shit about them or this country or any of the policies that he claims to care about. They voted for him anyway. So I do understand Americans' frustration. I do understand people like saying like, really? We're doing this again? Thanks to over half of you motherfuckers? Really? We're going to have to deal with this for another 4 years? Like, I understand. And I do think the choice was obvious, as shitty as the Democrats were. Like, it was
Everyone
not
should be
a tough
frustrated.
choice.
Everyone should be frustrated. Everyone should be furious. And there's one active place to direct all of that anger, and
The
that
American
is
voter.
the Democratic Party. The Democratic
American
Party
voter.
and its consultants and messengers, but mainly the voters, and specifically Butch Ware. But
we're gonna turn this into the He-Man voter hater club. No,
I just don't want anyone. It's gloves off now, folks. It's open season. I don't want any of these Project Lincoln fucks or any of these people giving any assignments. Like, and who knows about who's coming next or what's going on in the future. Like, you can't predict that, but it's hard not to feel like a million doors just closed for a long time, but a few new ones did open, because Democratic Party is currently in ruins in a way that has never been seen in our lifetimes. And there might be some opportunities in that. We'll have to see.
Is that even true? I remember the Democrats getting fucking wiped out a million times under George Bush and fucking. I mean, are they? I mean, like I said, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine, bro. Just like how the Republicans seemed like they were at fucking rock bottom after Bush, and then they came back with Donald Trump. Like, there'll be someone to bring the Democratic Party out of this slump. It's not going to be the consultant people. Like I said, you can never rely on the Democratic Party to remake itself. But yeah, they just need a new leader, someone to like, snap them out of this bullshit.
Yeah, I think it's the Dems 2008 right now, though, so they're definitely down bad.
They are.
Yeah,
they are. I'm just saying, like, yeah, they need a new leader. But yeah.
Anyway, Griffin,
the woman has to talk last. It's Trump's America.
That's true.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck, America.
Good luck, America.
Any last thoughts?
I just hope everyone has an okay time and they hang in there. It's a scary world right now, and we just got to hold on to each other and do podcasts like this and hang out and have fun. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Find normal people and be normal. Don't just be in live streams like this.
Yes.
Like
touch
hang
grass.
out with friends.
Do a little of everything.
Touch a little grass. Smoke a little grass, watch a little live stream, read a little book, huh? Let's not let the literacy
a little hope.
Absolutely. That's
And
the Vanguard promise. That's the Circle Jerk America. We're here to deliver all of you fine folks.
Goodbye. And wow, those pods. And so sorry to our sister pod Save America.
We didn't even get into that.
Yeah, we did 400 electoral college votes. Just sitting on that.
That made me fucking crazy. Oh, anyway.
Yeah, they're don't worry, they're being awoken, but everyone's gonna fight hard to forget. And I just want people to remember. And like, maybe the Democrats won't. Maybe you don't think they're as in ruins as I think they do, but I think that a lot of these politicians are going to start having to go on different forms of media. And I think there is a distinct difference than in past defeats in the modern century, where I think there's a lot of new avenues. So we'll have to see where those go next week.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you that they're at rock bottom, but also the thing about being at rock bottom is you can only go up. And there's a lot of truth to that. The Democratic Party, like they do need a wake-up call. They do need to find a new leader who can direct the party differently. And I agree. Yeah, there are new avenues. That is the silver lining of Kamala losing, is that she's not going to be fucking in charge of the Democratic Party. And now there's a void of leadership that hopefully will be filled by someone a little bit less lame.
Precisely. And sorry, one last time, Trump's America. You gotta say something, please.
What?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Goodbye, guys.
Get out.